Because you got to have movements, not moments. Mm-hmm. And that's what I said when we was in the thick of Trayvon, George Floyd, is that everybody gets mad for a moment. And we don't even want to deal with the traditional. If you do not have traditional organizations lined with those young folks so that those moments turn into movements, they just go right and they just say, let it pass. And once it passes, it's gone.
Welcome to turning a moment into a movement. Greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Turning a Moment into a Movement. I am J Love. I hope you guys can hear me. We're having something's going on with StreamYard. I've been troubleshooting it for the past hour. So I hope you guys can hear me. Let me know in the comments if you can. But hello, thank you for joining us. My name is J Love, and I represent the Justice for Gerard Movement. We come here on Fridays at 8:30 p.m. to talk about wrongful convictions and injustices that happen within our criminal legal system. So thank you for joining us. Okay, clear, loud and clear. Thank you. I just can't hear on my end, but it's cool. We're going to keep it moving. But thank you. I'm going to for joining us. As you guys know, Gerard is my son who was wrongfully convicted of a crime he didn't do, innocent, and he went to prison for that crime. And because of that journey with him and all the people that I met on that journey, we created this platform called Turning a Moment into a Movement. So our mission statement, I am so thrown off, but our mission statement is to bring awareness to the wrongful conviction of Gerard and all others who are wrongly convicted, over sentenced, medically ill, and medically frail in our community, to inspire, organize, and educate all communities about the need to disrupt systems, policies, and patterns of the criminal legal system that leads to wrongful convictions. So thank you for joining us. So I'm going to bring on Reverend Tia, who's here with us every Friday. Hi, Reverend Tia.
Well, hello, Jay. How are you? I can tell there's been some changes. It looks like there's been some permission changes and things happening maybe between StreamYard and the other social carriers, I believe. I'm not sure. It just seems like there's a lot of things happening there. So I think that did throw things off a bit. But anyway, I'm Tia Taylor, and I am here every Friday because it is time for us to change each and every moment and movement, moment into a movement. And I think as a people, we've gone through many moments. And I don't know about you, Jay, but I think our time is now for change to actually happen. I'm coming to you from the Choice Zone, and I have recently really been talking about mental health and the disparities in the community. And I don't know if people realize it or not, but most of the people who are behind bars have a mental illness, and some of them have never been diagnosed. So, under there where it says Reverend Tia Taylor, it's supposed to say the Choice Zone. I think I had somebody else at my computer. Thank you, Jay. So I'm excited to be here because the one thing I know is that the more we not just talk about the injustice, but talk about the answers and the solutions, then we can have victory. And that's my expectation. And my prayer is that people join us in that expectation of justice and liberty and justice for all, like it says it is supposed to be. That is an ideal that has yet to be accomplished, but I'm believing that it's already done.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend Tia.
Thank you.
I see Trischè is here. Hi, Trischè.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, I saw you. No, you're not feeling well tonight.
Just a little exhausted maybe, but yet in the land of the living, grateful for that. In the midst of everything that we're going through, we can always find that thing to be grateful about. And I'm grateful. One of those things is this platform. Very grateful for this platform. And man, when I think about how colonized everything is and what it would take to decolonize minds, to even take a look at systems. I was a person, I didn't even really realize what systems were until I realized it, and I thought, oh my goodness. So these moments into a movement, like Reverend Tia said, these moments are so important because if the seed is just planted for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, and then they take what they have learned and share it, and it just pops like popcorn, that's how we make change, one person at a time, one moment at a time, into the overall movement to bring about change. So I didn't say, but my name is Trischè Duckworth. I'm just a nobody. Nah. But I am the executive director of Survivor Speak, and just grateful for these moments so that we can continue to provide education and moments for the community to learn as we're learning, because we sit here lifetime students, right? Decolonizing our own minds from the things that we were taught and the things that we were learned. But grateful for the awakening, grateful for my sisters, grateful for this session tonight.
Yeah. You guys just reminded me of something that Reverend Al Sharpton said this past weekend on the Black men conversation that they were having on EMS NBC. He said, and I had it recorded, but something was going on with the intro. But he said that the moment, we got to move beyond the moments. Yeah. He said the moments we have to, we're angry, we're there for that moment, but we have to turn the moments into movements. And I was like, hey, So we had to move beyond the anger and get into and move into movements and make action. And that's how we make change. We have to continue the path and continue the fight. So I thank you guys. Attorney Mack will be on a little bit later. He's in a meeting, but we're gonna keep it moving. So Miss Diane, who is just she might as well be our panel member. Hi, Miss Diane.
Hi, how you doing, Jay and Trischè? I'm so okay. Yeah, sorry,
Hello.
I'm just a little discombobulated because from trying to get on my computer. I'm on my phone now.
Yes,
So
I
I'm
was
glad to
telling
see
her.
everybody. We came through anyway.
Yes, thank you. So, Diane, introduce yourself and tell people who you are.
Okay, I'm Diane Bukowski. I've been the editor of Voice of Detroit for the last 13 years, an online newspaper. Previously to that, I was a writer, a reporter for the Michigan Citizen newspaper for 10 years. And I've been covering issues related to prisons and police in particular in the last 4 or 5 years. And I'm here tonight to talk about the case of Darrell Ewing and his co-defendant, Derrico Searcy, who are fighting a courageous and stunningly courageous battle against a system that convicted them wrongly twice and is now trying to convict them again, even though they have a confession from another man and the federal government knew at the time of their first conviction for murder in 2010 that they were not the perpetrators, that they had substantial evidence showing somebody else did the crime. But the prosecutor continued with it. Kim Worthy and her people in her office continued with the prosecution, and it was overturned back in 2019. They won a new trial because of jury misconduct and other matters. And right now, what's happening is that instead of dismissing the case, which Darrell has been arguing for a long time, since the conviction was overturned. And instead of doing that, which Kim Worthy could have just dismissed the case, saved the taxpayers a whole lot of money, and let the two young men go on with their lives, with their families. And I understand, is Darrell's mother still here?
Yes, I want you to introduce her.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And Miss LaSonia Dotson is Darrell Ewing's mother. She's been in the battle with him for the last since his conviction in 2010. She's been a strong mother there for Darrell and is responsible for a lot of the support that he's gotten, and has been brave as her son is brave. Her son right now is representing himself in front of a young judge named Kiefer Cox, who's part of the Cox family and has very little experience on the bench, and also has ties to the prosecutor's office. He worked for 4 years with the prosecutors that falsely convicted Derrico Searcy and Darrell Ewing. So with that, I give you LaSonia Dotson, a longtime activist herself, and the mother of Darrell Ewing.
Sonia, hello. Welcome to Turning a Moment into a Movement. Something's going on with your sound, Sonia.
Is your mic on?
Sonia?
There's a little mic button at the bottom of my phone. It was crossed out. Can you try clicking that?
So you might have to click off and come back in, Sonia. Okay.
Oh, I'm
We go
sorry.
right to- No problem. Yeah, we've been having issues tonight, and so we're gonna just push through them. But Diane, so while we're waiting for Sonia to come back, um, there was a hearing today.
Yes, this was a hearing that Darrell has filed multiple motions to dismiss his case. They've been entered. His co-defendant is Derrico Searcy, and his attorney Blaze Kearney from the Neighborhood Defender Service has opted into most of those motions in front of this judge. Now the judge is taking an attitude that Kiefer Cox, the young judge, he's 34, or yeah, he's 34, 35, about Darrell's age. And he's just became a judge this year, no previous experience as a defense individual. He had 4 years experience in the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office during the time that Darrell and Derrico were convicted. And well, not during the time they were convicted, but during the time that they've been appealing. And so Darrell asked him to disqualify himself because of his connections with the prosecutor's office and his biased, what he says is his biased dealings with him on those motions. He's got an attitude, as Slim Herndon, our legal advisor for the Voice of Detroit, was telling the family outside the courtroom today, that this judge is a young white guy who comes from the Cox family. Mike Cox was his uncle. He has two judges in his family, Sean Cox, who's with the U.S. District Court Chief Judge, and also Kiefer Cox's father, Keith Cox. I'm trying to remember. I think I got his first name wrong. But they're both judges in the Third Circuit Court. And
is he appointed judge, or he had an election?
No, he was elected in a off year for the position. He had ran a couple of years before that and was beat out by I forgot the name of it. It was a young black woman judge that beat him out. And but then a couple of years later, a vacancy came up, and he got in with an appointment. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, through an election. His election campaign was run by, well, it was run out of the offices of Mike Cox. I don't know if people remember his uncle Mike Cox. When he was Attorney General for the state, he was known for his bad attitudes towards, in particular, young black fathers and fathers in general. Writing them and making sure that they got charged and convicted when they couldn't pay child support. And when most of the people that can't pay child support are in very low income areas. And he conducted a really vicious campaign that laid the basis for the rest of since that time, since his term as Attorney General. Talking about deadbeat dads, billboards all over the place. And he was zeroing in on black dads. So that's and he funded the campaign through his office and publicized it. They have a whole network of Coxes around the state. And this is what he's doing in there now. Now, his father, however, was in his courtroom. He had the first exoneration in Wayne County was of Richard Phillips, who had served 47 years in prison. And his father had that case in front of him, and he is actually the one that exonerated him in a lengthy opinion, very well written, detailed opinion. He's got a lot more experience. And also recently, Sean Cox, the chief judge for the U.S. District Court, Darrell has filed, and on behalf of other inmates at the Wayne County Jail, he filed a class action lawsuit against the conditions in the Wayne County Jail. And which are terrible. The fact that they've been being held there for, 3 and 4 years, way out of speedy trial limits, been denied recreation, denied family denied in-person visit.
They always do that.
There he is.
Can you guys hear
Hey,
me?
Sam.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay. I was just talking about our buddy Kiefer Cox
Oh God.
and his background. So, but Judge Sean Cox recently granted part of Darrell's motions, and Darrell is a paralegal. He's a certified paralegal, and he has a brilliant legal mind. And as Travis Herndon, our legal advisor, told the family today, that judge is looking at Darrell like he's a jailhouse litigator and he doesn't know nothing. It so happens Darrell is a young black man that has a lot more skills and knowledge than Judge Kiefer Cox does. So he's up against quite a battle here, but he's strong. He takes after his mother, from what I can
He
see.
do.
He got his mother. He got his strength and courage on us from his family, from his mother.
Yes.
And his sisters have been involved. The entire family's been involved in supporting him at rallies and everything else throughout the campaign. Today, the judge denied his motion. Just to cut it short, so Sonia can say some more. The judge denied the motion to disqualify himself, but it's still going in front of a higher judge on February 23rd, so that'll be heard again. So anyway, if Sonia wanted to chime in over here.
Yes, welcome again, Sonia.
Welcome again. Glad y'all can hear me.
Yes.
Thank you, Diane, for introducing me. And again, me and Darrell and has been going through this for the last 14 years of being wrongfully convicted. And now that I know that y'all know how the fight is, it's nice to talk to people who know what you've been going through for real. It's easy to say I understand, but people really don't understand. You know,
Mhm.
it takes a lot to go through this. It takes being strong. You got to go back and keep working on your mental to stay strong through this because it's very
Yeah.
hard. And I'm a strong person, but this is something that I wouldn't wish on a lot of people because a lot of people wouldn't be able to handle this, what we've been through.
Yes,
You
Mhm.
know, but
I
they
agree.
knew from the beginning that Darrell didn't do this. They came to my house. I was speaking on this today. They came to my house to get him. You state that he's a shooter, that he's the shooter. Y'all come to get him for that, and you don't search the home. You don't have a weapon, but you don't search the home. The weapon could have been there. So then you sit down and you talk to me, and without searching the house and say, who will he talk to? We don't think he did this, but we want him to talk. So 14 years later, because he can't tell them what they want, we've been going through this for 14 years. They know he didn't do it. Like Diane said, the federal government came in with information from the guy who did it. The guy has confessed. A young lady was the driver. Derrico wasn't the driver. A young lady was the driver. She stated that she was. They still hid her and didn't bring her. When it's corruption behind stuff, it's so hard to get in there because it's so corrupt. When you got fake stuff put together, it's hard to pull out the real because they saying, okay, well, if these people seen this, then how is they saying it's her? She's light
Mhm,
skinned, he's dark skinned, he's short, he's a man, she's a woman, because they didn't see nothing. You
mhm.
can't, when they put stuff together, it takes so long because of the corruption that they put their own story together and made it
Exactly.
fit for what they were looking for. So
We
it's a
say this
hard,
all
it's
the
a hard fight, but I appreciate my family, my daughters. It made us stronger. They say what don't kill you make you stronger. So I'm a firm believer in that now because I didn't know I had to quit my job because I didn't want to get fired when all of this happened. So I'm like, I might as well go on and quit because the minute they say it's court, they ain't telling me I can't go because I ain't got no off day or nothing. So I might as well set myself up to quit. So I ended up going, taking a leave from work. I worked for Xfinity, taking a leave and going to beauty school. And got my license and opened up my own salon. And now I do lash extensions, microblade and stuff like that. And it was the best decision I made because I needed more money to deal with this situation. I can't have a company and I needed my time. So, and it made all of us make a change in our lives. But when you pushed up against the wall, you'd be surprised at what you can do. And it's been
Yes.
working. I've been open for 8 years through this whole thing, getting everything situated. Because even putting money on the phones to make sure you can keep your person talking to somebody. I can't even imagine how much I've spent on phones. You
Yeah.
know, secure packs, food, all of that. Then you can't claim them on your taxes, though. You know.
Right. Somebody else getting the tax credit.
Yeah, you want me
Where
to
they
feed
at?
him. You want me to keep his mental where he can stay in there so you can keep getting
Mm-hmm.
paid for him. But then you don't want us to get none of our stuff back.
Right.
Yeah, so all of that we've been through protesting, but I look at the situation as seeing so many of these young guys and older guys and everybody come home
Mhm.
after being wrongfully convicted. I really think that it takes more than just a case by case dealing. People got to come together. They got to come together and create an accountability thing for each state. Like have lawyers,
Mhm.
prosecutors, lawyers, not prosecutors, lawyers, private investigators, all of that who work up under like one network, like insurance, right? They want us to get under the network to get the best price and make sure they're getting the best price and they're not paying out more. This is the same thing we need to do. So when this kind of thing happen, you could catch it before people is convicted because it's too hard to come back. And
Mm-hmm.
that way people will get in there and change the laws too. So we need a lot of stuff that's done and it need to be done in unison. Like so that the next time we won't keep having this happen and it got to be 17 years and 27 years that people got to
Right.
stay in there because they didn't know in the beginning. Because the things that we didn't know going in the first trial, they can't pull on us if they do retry this case. You know,
Mm-hmm. Right.
Darrell knows a lot more than what he knew then. When you first going in and you ain't never been in trouble, you never been through this, you don't know whether your lawyer telling you the truth. You don't know whether the judge is okay. You don't know nothing about the prosecutor, the head person over the case. You don't know anything. So it's hard to deal with. And then once you get in there, you realize your mistakes once you get to learning.
Mm-hmm.
Like they shouldn't have did this. If they would have did that, this wouldn't even been this. And that's the kind of things that I've learned through all of this, and just feeling sorry for people who don't have people to stand by them.
Yes.
A lot
I
of
agree.
people don't do what we have done as mothers. Everybody ain't even in a position to stand by. Some people got to save themselves, so they not able
Mm-hmm.
to go in and get their sons or their fathers or brothers or whoever it is who is wrongfully convicted. So I can imagine what that is like to deal with. Because it took a lot of out of me and my family, but we'll do it again for him.
Yes.
We'll continue to fight for him until he's home.
Exactly. I know we talked one thing I want to touch on when you said a united movement and Trischè and Revitier, we talk about that all the time. Like we're more united in numbers, more powerful when we're in numbers. And you're right, the case by case, yes, you're gonna have to fight for for your loved one. That's a given. But
Hmm.
if we're all together, we can all fight equally for each other loved ones because the things that's going on, it's been continuing. Miss Diane, how long have you been on this? Not just this particular case, but just wrongful convictions, period.
Well, that's probably been about, let's see, 14 years with Voice of Detroit and 10 years before that with the Michigan Citizen. So that's at least about 24 years. And Michigan Citizen, I covered a whole lot of other topics as well, but I also did a lot of articles on wrongfully convicted prisoners, people that are serving life without parole sentences, the juvenile lifers. I covered juvenile lifers for a long time with the Michigan Citizen and have continued that on Voice of Detroit. The U.S. is the only country in the world that sentences children to die in prison. and is still continuing that process, although it's been ameliorated because the Supreme Court ruled against mandatory juvenile life without parole twice, the U.S. Supreme Court. But it's just, we have the highest percentage in the world. We have 5% of the world's population in the United States, but 25% of its incarcerated population. Can you imagine a quarter of the world's incarcerated population, and we're just a tiny number of the people in the world, 5%? So it's a battle. I mean, we're up against a system of mass incarceration, a prison state and a prison nation and a police state. And that's what people are fighting. And Sonia and her family, Darrell is an example of somebody that didn't let, although he knew he was wrongfully convicted from the beginning. When that jury came back with the verdict, he was just stunned, saying that he was guilty, but he's fought ever since. He trained himself to be a lawyer, to be a paralegal. He took since he's been in the Wayne County Jail, he graduated from the Blackstone Career Institute as a paralegal, and that's the grounds on which he's representing himself. He's representing himself now because of the fact that he saw his life taken from him unjustifiably on something that he did not do, and he went through all the motions in the courts with different lawyers, and now that he knows what's going on and is familiar with what happens when you get in that situation, he wants to make sure that every dot is pointed, every I is dotted and every T is crossed, because you only have one chance to do that. And when you're in front of the court, if you forget to do something and you get to the appellate court and they say, well, you should have done this earlier, that you're out of luck. So he's got a brilliant mind, no doubt inherited from his mother and the rest of his family. And he's putting up a heck of a battle, and he's not stopping. He's a warrior. So, and Derrico, although I've covered more of Darrell's case, but they're both, in fact, in the last hearing that I covered was a hearing just for Derrico. The judge has separated the two hearings for Derrico and Darrell, although he plans to try them beginning March 25th in a joint trial. But meantime, he's hearing them separately, and they each need to know what the other one is doing, what their defense is, so they can see. And as Darrell said today in court, that's a violation of his due process. He said, the way because he has not been getting the information. He's been backed up, however, by his defendant's attorney, and who has said that he's, validated his legal positions in the motions he's filed. And so it's a heck of a battle, and it's a battle for young men in particular in this community, because how many young men have been sent to prison out of Detroit? Either for things they didn't do, or if they did do things, they've been sent for life without parole, which is an inhuman sentence. How can you just throw people away for their life? Take somebody's life for the rest of their life and say, you're no good, you're never going to change. And that's that. And so it's a heck of a battle.
It definitely is. It definitely is. And then with everything that's coming out and with social media, it's definitely a way to make all of this follow suit. You can start something here in Michigan and make state by state, give them like a blueprint to follow. But the only way to do it, and you can start with just accountability. We need lawyers. We need these private investigators. We need everybody who the parents and the families hire to be held accountable. And then they need to be rated. Even if I get an Uber want me to rate them. If I call here, they want me to rate them. We need to rate these lawyers so that when people are going to trial, then they can say, hey, you know what? Don't use him because he's not in the network. We have already followed them And we can tell you that these are the best lawyers for wrongful convictions, because everybody don't care about everything. Some lawyers only care about certain things, and they think everybody guilty who is in there. So they just kind of go that way. They ask you for all this money. We got high-end lawyers with a name who gather people and then subcontract it out to somebody else to do it, while they just use their name to get clients. They charge you 50,000, 70,000, all of this kind of money for trials like this. And then if you get convicted, you got to pay another lawyer for the appeal. Then if the appeal gets overturned, then you got to pay another set of lawyers to do the appeal if we go to trial this week. Most people can't handle this. How many families can really handle this for real?
Right.
You know, that's a lot of pain, a lot of years to keep on thinking about, I got to put this, I can't do this because of this, I can't do. We should not, that's what we don't want. We got to start there. If you put that together, and every state had lawyers that work very well with the exonerations, everything else got, this is the right group to do that with. This private investigator, he's going to work for you. He's going to charge exactly what you should be charged. They know about how long it takes. I have dealt with Scott Lewis through this last part. First, we had a private investigator. They took my money. They didn't have nothing for me and everything. Then I got with Scott Lewis. Scott Lewis will send you money back if he say, no, it didn't take me long. I only did this. So at first I billed you for 4 hours. It only took me an hour and 20 minutes. And he gonna send you your money back. That's what we need. You cannot use people who are at their lowest in their life and try to take everything else from them. That's two crimes for real. You not only can be we being wrongfully convicted too, because we getting used by so many lawyers. I didn't pay so many lawyers who did not. I mean, ones that got names. Okay, you get this person, you get that person. Once this all over, you think Hollywood calling people out? I'm gonna call them out. Don't just. We gotta quit. Sometimes you gotta get somebody who need to make a name for themselves. Instead of getting somebody with a name. Then you got to make these lawyers know that they really got to work. If you take a person who could go to jail for the rest of their life and there's stuff there that shows us it need to be a network. If somebody is in prison and trying to get out, we need to be able to have their money spent because you're already in prison. So whoever's spending some money for you to take the time, it got to work. You can't do it 3, 4, 5 times before you get out 20 years later. You know, we need to have that work with the system is faster. Where the money is going to be spent in a good way. And I think that's going to be the only way that this is going to happen, where we can start to saying, okay, we got paralegals who pull up information, who work, and all of that got to be done as an organization as well. Put it together. 501c3 is money out here. They making money putting them in prison. We got to make money keeping them out.
Yes.
You can turn a bad situation into a good one, but you got to use your head. You got to think. It does not help to constantly go out. Okay, he was wrongfully convicted. We gonna go protest with them. Okay, he wrongfully convicted. We gonna go protest with them. That's just like a dead end. I mean, you're not gonna constantly get nowhere by doing it on a case by case. Everybody got to come together. Maybe put together vendor shows, like have places where people can come down once a month and meet with the lawyers and have them speaking out, meet with the private investigators, meet with the paralegals, where they can pick who best fit what they going through. And then we can put a stamp on them and say, they gonna really work for you. We can't tell you about nobody else over here. This is the group of people who we as a whole went through and made sure that they really gonna work for you and not just get your money. And then once they do it, that just like if we get in an accident, we gonna get charged higher because you as a driver who is liable to hit somebody. So now you got to pay more. That's how it should be. And then once these lawyers who really getting people out start making money for real and they not, everybody else will fall suit.
Right. Yeah, because you know when you call these lawyers, even for me, when I first I got some recommendations. The first one I called had a name for himself. He told me $30,000.
Yeah.
And I'm like, $30,000? And then now, fast forward to today, when I hear people who are being exonerated, a lot of them been in there 30, 20, 30, 40 years.
Right.
They didn't have the money.
No.
They didn't have the money to fight. And
Yeah.
they know that you don't have the money. And
Yes.
that's why they do the things that they do because
Yeah.
they know you don't have no money. They know
Yeah.
you don't have 30,000 off rip to pay a lawyer, and you need somebody right now, and they're telling you I need at least this much down before I can even get started, but it's going to cost you like where do you get these numbers? You just pull them out the air, you know
Yeah.
what
They
what
do.
is your
They do.
recommendation? What
And
what
don't
have you
make them think
done?
you got some money. They'll go up on what they want to charge you. Don't look
Right.
like you.
What
Don't give them your address or something. They have to go to assume that you can pay more.
right. Where's the evidence that makes you worth $30,000, first of all? And
Mhm.
people are putting up their homes and losing their homes and everything. And like you said, paying all these lawyers. I remember when I first met um Ken's mother, and she was telling me about how many lawyers and how much money she spent, helping him, Ken Nixon, to, on his exoneration and, trying to, get somebody to fight his case. And so that is also a piece of it that we do need to have a conversation about. Like, that is being wrongful charged twice, and people don't understand that as you fighting this with your child, your loved ones, and then you fighting another system on the side of people
Hmm.
who are preying on your downfall, so to speak.
And then I'm gonna tell you, the more that you put those groups together like that, and you get it to working, and you got people that's holding people accountable, it makes them less easy for them to put people in these situations. Because not only that, if you put together stuff like that, then you can have somebody who watch officers. How many times is this officer doing stuff and being written up and he didn't,
Mhm.
too many times we don't pay attention to how many times the officers have done something until they turn around and kill somebody or something. Then you go and come to find out he should have been off the force. We should be knowing. We should
Right.
all know, especially in the city of Detroit. It's just too many. Look at many wrongful convictions is coming out of there that's being turned over. So now they need to really look at it. And you got to
Right.
hold them accountable. Looking at my son in court today, talk to the judge and not be afraid. And he know how to talk and he wasn't disrespectful, but he knows how to talk and he is not afraid to be a lawyer because he know a lawyer should argue. To us, it look crazy because we're not even used to talking to a judge. We can't speak.
Mhm.
You mute to a judge, right? But to see him sit there and do this and not be afraid to
Mhm.
nope, I got three more things. The judge trying to hurry up, shush him away. He won't be shushed. And that was
Hmm.
beautiful. That was
Yes, it
beautiful
was.
because so many of us would have said, "Well, I was gonna say it, but he wouldn't let me." You did. He would. You had the floor. Keep it. Own it. And he owned it. My son
Yeah.
owned that floor today, and he did not
He
let him
sure
stop until
did.
he was done with what he had to say. And that
Mm-hmm.
because at this point, I'm a lawyer,
Hmm.
so I can speak. Lawyers get up there and they do it talking, and he did it, and he did what he needed to do, and that's what we need to be paying attention to. Judges that ain't doing right. We need to have a scale for them so it can be pointed out more. Accountability. The whole world is messing up because nobody is accountable for anything anymore. So if we're
Right.
not saying nothing, we can say this judge right here has convicted more people that came back from wrongful convictions than anybody I know. This officer right here has been involved in more of them than he is. All of this protesting and walking around, and we ain't gonna get nowhere. You gotta put some order in it. If you put the order in there and you really get us to paying attention, once people know you really know for real, and Diane, you know a lot already, so you a threat to them because you know so much about the officers. It ain't been nobody that Diane can't call and say, when it come to find out, this person right here is on time. But we did. We had one of the guys who was an investigator. He ended up used to be the head of homicide. Then the next thing we know, he goes to jail for perjury, um, um, something with houses, house fraud, all
William
kind of
Wright.
stuff he done did. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all
Mm-hmm.
the stuff he done did. But you think about how many cases that he laid on, and he was unethical through that. All of them
Mm-hmm.
cases really should be overturned. That should have been, because clearly you can't trust what he said all
Right.
these
And you know,
years.
with the officers, with the police officers, it's actually a coalition of police officers and prosecutors that
Right.
go after people.
Yeah.
And that's what, when Kim Worthy has announced the exonerations that she's done, which actually speak to the number of people she's wrongfully convicted or that been wrongfully convicted by her office, she'll say, well, you know, it was the police officer, but a lot of times she'll cover up even the name of the police officer, and she will never admit that the prosecutors themselves have worked hand in glove with the police to convict people they know damn well were not guilty. In Darrell and Derrico's case, it was Cam Towns, who is known. Lillian Diallo had represented Darrell at one point in all these hearings, and she said she's seen Lillian Diallo, who's a white woman, send away all sorts of young black men, that she has a thing against young black men because her whole thing is going against gangs. You know how they talk about youth gangs and all these young black kids are out here on the street creating chaos and all that. That's a lie in terms
Right.
of, you know, anytime a group of young men or women get together, if they're black, they're a gang as far as the system is concerned. And that's been her approach. And that's what her approach was in Darrell and Derrico's case,
And you
because
know what
this
else,
was not a
Diane? Not
gang
to cut
thing.
you off, but you
That's
know what
okay.
else they do is that
Mm-hmm.
it needs to be taught in school to kids about labeling yourself. It needs
Mm-hmm.
to be a course that is put together, and we need to make the Department of Education teach our kids this because of what has happened. Teach them not to label themselves as any group, because kids do it. Sometimes it be a dance group. They take the dance group once they coming out and we been the Shaky Boys or we the this whatever. Then whatever y'all, whenever they say that, anytime y'all put that together, anything one of them do makes all
Mm-hmm.
of them accountable. And that's how they've been able to get so many men off the streets in groups, because
Mm-hmm.
they do that. If we stop labeling ourselves, you gotta do me for Darrell Rashard Ewing the third, Ken the second. You know what I'm saying? You only gonna be your own self. Be yourself, because they put all these laws together. Laws was made up after slavery. I tell everybody that they made
That's
these
right.
laws up after they let us free, supposedly, because we
Mm-hmm.
really never was free. So then it's ways to
That's
get
right.
you back in. You know,
That's
so
where
they put them
police come
together,
from.
and we
Mm-hmm.
know it because whenever they talk about, and I said this to you in an article one time, Diane, when you
Mm-hmm.
asked me what did I learn through this, and I was saying that it's the verbiage that they use. Whenever I see them talk about white men or other nationalities, they'll call them a group, and they
Mm-hmm.
call our people a gang.
Mm-hmm.
What's
Mm-hmm.
the difference? The same, the whole White House rush. They will call them a group, a militia group, and then they'll
Mm-hmm.
call us a gang. And it's so many more,
Mm-hmm.
just like white collar crime and regular crime. You know, you can
Mm-hmm.
take down a whole corporation and have off-sea shit and be that took so much money and do 4 years. But then we can go over here and steal something for $30 and end up doing 10 to 12.
Mm-hmm. Or like George Jackson, his entire life, he was killed during his incarceration. Although he became famous as a member of the Black Panthers over there in California. And he went to prison for a $70 robbery at a gas
Yeah.
station. And they had a system of sentencing people to 1 year to life. That was to make you bow down and do everything they wanted you to do to prove that you could get out, to prove that you were worthy of getting out. And the tremendous talent and worth to the communities that has been lost by incarcerating. I mean, it's not only black, it's white, it's poor people on the whole. And many of them have tremendous skills and either have learned them in prison or had skills before, very talented. And it's a loss to the community not to have them home. And that needs to be stopped. And in terms of criminals, you talk about criminals, what the heck is going on in Gaza right now with Israel bombing people, a whole country of people to death, men, women, and children, with the funding by the United States and our president, Joe Biden. You know, that's not criminality. What is that? That's just that's fascism. That's Nazism. And here we got people in prison for the things that they do as individuals, as poor people. No, it's this system that put people there. It's this system that slaughtered the whole nation of Gaza that's doing that right now.
Right. Go ahead, Trischè.
Oh my gosh. First of all, salute to you, Miss Dotson. I just felt your strength, you know, just with every word that just came out of your mouth. I thank you. I salute you for your strength and everything that you have done for your son. It just mirrors of Jay and even all the things that Jay did for Gerard. I mean, when you think about our fearless, powerless mothers,
ain't nothing like it. Ain't nothing like it.
I mean, it is just a beauty to watch and an inspiration to us all. And you said so much. Oh my gosh! But I guess the one thing that you said that was so powerful is the fact of coming together. Coming together. What does that really look like if we all came together?
And the internet is the biggest way to draw it.
It is.
We can get people from other states to come in just off of this internet. Get it out there, get it started, use this. The power of the internet, you talk about the Oprah effect. We can change this. We can do this, but you got to get some organization and you got to do something that ain't never been done before. Once you do something that ain't never been done before, we on there. And we can get our money back that we just spent out here getting our kids out. So,
Trischè,
you know, we just spent a lot of money, and it's money into organizations. Every state needs this. They need this. People need to be held accountable. You know, we had Mr. Chime Time in Detroit. The big old thing, everybody's talking about him because places are being held accountable for not doing what they're supposed to do with the food. That he going in and he's doing and he's very fair with it. So I like him, right? I like the way he go in and he do it. And I've said he brought some whole change. Like we need that in a whole lot of other businesses. Go in and see. We need to quit spending our money where they don't treat us right. We need to start hitting a whole lot of places. So Mr. Time, he touched on a whole lot of stuff that kind of like what we need. We need to police the police. We need to police the prosecutors. We got to do all of that. All of that is a 501c3 to get all of this started. Once we do it and we started here in Michigan, grow it, every state gonna mimic it, and we gonna leave something that none of this was done in vain. That's what's gonna happen.
Well, that's part of our mission. That's what I'm saying. You said so much. We created an app, a reporting app for the people.
That's so good.
Where they could report judges, prosecutors, because see, nobody could get their files. So we create our own files of people, and lo and behold,
there you go.
What happened? But somebody tried to come and block it. So now we in a fight with Apple to even get the app up. But what they don't know is that's okay, because we getting ready to get with the ACLU and some other groups, because that app will be up. And if they don't put it up on Apple, then we're going to put it on Survivor Speak website. We are going to have our own reporting tool, because what we need to be able to show are the occurrences. See, they know them. But it doesn't matter what they know. As long as they know and we don't know, that's the problem. So we need to be able to point out the patterns. Like that officer, he got 85 infractions.
Yes.
Diane, no.
Exactly. Exactly. Why would it take 85? None of us could get 85 anythings before we would have been in jail.
That part.
So why is he still out here doing stuff? If that is done and put together right, there we go. Use that internet, run with the voice. Yep, they ain't gonna like it, but it has to be done.
Yeah.
And if y'all doing it right, you wouldn't worry about whether we kept track or not. If you was doing what you supposed to do, that's what's happening. Do what you're supposed to do. We ain't after nothing else but you doing what you're supposed to do. If we have paralegals that can stand in these courtrooms and work along with the actual defendant so that they can know what should be being filed. And, you know, they need more. Like, we didn't have Slim then to say, nope, you got to put that on the record. Nope, if you don't put that in, your lawyer ain't doing this right. If your lawyer don't argue this, you can't never even come back on it. It's so much stuff that I didn't learn through this time. Like, wow, this stuff need to be taught, because we can't even trust a lawyer that you gave 50 grand to. I can't even trust you because you done got my money and you want to call me only on the day you picking up some money. When I call you, you want to rush me off the phone and you got $50,000 of my money. That kind of stuff right there shouldn't even be done. First of all, it's already a bad situation, and then the family's got to drain them of everything they have, and then you still got your people in jail. They don't want to release them. Only way we're going to move this faster and stop all this from happening is to really come together, put something here in Michigan, let it be the first hub. I was telling a lady that we should do like Ford Field or Cobo Hall, get a lot of vendors, paralegals, pull them all in there, interview them, see who doing what. Start them in there, let them know that this is going to be a network thing. And if you're not in network, we don't refer you to nobody. Prison, one thing about prison, they all talk to each other. They gonna tell who to go to. Nope, you got to get in a network. So when the other lawyers ain't getting no money, this is a problem. They gonna either fall suit or the other one's gonna make all the money because they're doing what they need to do. When we got investigators who doing what they supposed to do, don't take my money and then tell me I couldn't contact them. I tried. I spent all these days doing this. I had travel time. I had this. I had that. You ain't even got nothing for me. And then you get this man, Mr. Scott Lewis, who really go out here and work for everybody I've seen he worked for. He literally will give you money back if he don't use it all. I mean, them the kind of people we want to get more people to. We want him to train more people under his organization so they can help him so he can be able to cover all of the people that we gonna need him to cover. You know, that's what the world is about now. Everybody train him up. He need to get people in there who's gonna do what he do, follow them, and make sure he could have him a corporation of investigators. You know, this kind of stuff we need because it's too many cases. People going to jail daily. Every time I wake up, it's somebody else on that news in the morning that look like me. It could be my son or my brother or somebody, you know, who is going through a case.
Right.
Hello, Scott. And you know, I think that we need to know, and Diane, I want you to talk about this, the fact that we didn't have to go, you know, you should not have to go back through a whole nother trial again.
That's right.
But Kim Worthy could have made a difference. It didn't have to go this way, even after she messed up.
She will prosecute people. She will prosecute people literally to death. There's one case that I covered that was just shocking, where she actually did prosecute a mother for protecting her 13-year-old daughter from being medicated with dangerous drugs back in 2011. People remember Marianne got bold of it all. From that time, she held off to police and helicopters and tanks that came to her house with a falsified court order to take her child because she was taking her child off a dangerous medication. And she ended up getting charged with she went through all sorts of stuff because of that. Kim Worthy charged her with a bunch of felonies. However, when it got to the 36th District Court, and then to the Third Circuit in Frank Murphy. 2 judges there dismissed the charges against her because they were the fruit of the poisonous tree. Probation officer had stamped a judge's name on the order to remove her daughter, and they dismissed the charges twice. Kim Worthy kept prosecuting and prosecuting and prosecuting, and but they dismissed the charges twice, and finally Kim Worthy, and she does this with everyone, will prosecute it to the end. She got a ruling from the Supreme Court finally that said that she needed to go to another trial. On the eve of that trial, Marianne Galboldo had a brain aneurysm, and which killed her 6 months later. Kim Worthy killed that woman with the stress that she put her up under, trying to protect her 13-year-old daughter from big pharma, from this whole medical system that doesn't care about the children, that doesn't care about poor folks. And she was known all over the world. She had people supporting her from all over the world, as far as Australia. And Kim Worthy just kept prosecuting and prosecuting and prosecuting. That's what she's doing to Darrell right now. That's what she's done to numerous people that I've covered for the Voice of Detroit. She does not believe in giving up. And even after Sean Searcy, Thelonious Searcy, was exonerated, and he fought to get exonerated. He's also the brother of Derrico Searcy, who's Darrell's co-defendant, and he's on the National Registry of Exonerations. Kim Worthy appealed that, and now he's facing a whole nother matter in the state courts again. And there's no excuse for this. She's wasting taxpayer dollars. They're paying all sorts of prosecutors all this money to keep people locked up when they know they didn't do the crime. In his case, the man that did it confessed to it at length in an evidentiary hearing. It had nothing to do with Sean Thelonious Searcy, that's his nickname. And but they don't want to let it alone. They don't want to let him just go on with his life. They took him from a family of his wife and his 2 young daughters, toddler daughters, and for 17 years, and before he was finally able to get his conviction overturned. And because the judge finally, Judge Thomas Hathaway ruled that he wasn't going to retry him. He said he's going to dismiss the charges because the actions of the prosecutors were so egregious that they just kept hiding all sorts of evidence and things like that, and he couldn't see how another trial was going to get him was going to do any good, because they would just do the same thing over and over. And that's what they're doing to Darrell and Derrico right now, trying to do the same thing over to them again that they did before, knowing the federal government came in right at the beginning of their case because they knew the other guy that was the killer in the case, the one that they've been serving time for the murder of. They knew that person because he was connected with people in a federal case. They even had one of their people come in to testify that Christopher Richardson, that it was this other man, Tyree Washington, that had done it. And Scott Lewis interviewed Tyree Washington on a video, which has been published all over the place in detail. Tyree Washington got interviewed by a state, on his own volition. He was interviewed by a state, Michigan State Police. He was Mirandized. It was an official confession. They told him what could happen if he admitted to the killing, and he still went ahead and did it. They tried to hide that.
Yeah.
They've been trying to, and they continue to try to hide everything they can. That's what Darrell was talking about in court today, all of the things that they still are refusing to disclose. And so they're just, this is an evil system that we live in.
Yes,
and
but we have.
Even when we going through this, Diane, I noticed that they. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I noticed that they, even when we going through this, it's kind of like they showing us that white power. in the middle.
Yeah.
It's like what the judge do sometimes. It just you're not even doing nothing that the court is supposed to do. He's going completely outside of what he should be doing. He went on like he knew how to do a motion hearing. The first time he did the motion hearing, the first day, Darrell filed like 28 motions. But if you're doing your own work and it's your own case, you're gonna bring out everything that's wrong with it. You gonna
Mm-hmm.
file everything. When you pay these lawyers 30,000, they pick two things to argue on, and they
Mm-hmm.
only might file two motions, and hopefully you come back off of one of these. That's all they work on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
the judge was kind of upset that he filed so many motions. And then when he argued the motions, the first day we went to trial, I mean
Mm-hmm.
to motion hearing, he knew exactly how to do it. He called off the motion, he let Darrell argue, they argued, and then he ruled, right? So he did that the whole time. It went well. After the court proceeding, everybody was so impressed with Darrell because he did so well to even like the depths and everything. They was all in on it. So the
And they
next time he
always.
come back to finish the motion hearing, the judge say, "This how we gonna do this today. I'ma call the motions and I'ma go ahead and rule." So what
Mm-hmm.
good is us coming to court and you got us coming down here if you gonna go ahead and rule without the argument?
Mm-hmm.
So right there, you showed us white power. Because you
Yeah.
already know, and we know you know how it go, because we just did this last week in trial. I mean, in
Right.
court. So then we come back and you just like dismiss everything like shouldn't even be allowed in any kind of
Well,
way. Like this is a motion hearing, which means arguing between the prosecution and the defendant. So why can't we argue? How do you rule before the argument? So you didn't even give me a chance to show you that no, I really was here. This is such. And Darrell was so well, he was so organized to everything
mm-hmm.
they said in the first proceeding when he did the motion hearing. Darrell
Mm-hmm.
could go directly to it. He had 3 big boxes of paperwork and got
That's
it
right.
so organized that he can go directly to it, call it off, and do and show them exactly what he's talking about. So they were so mad that a young black boy
That's right.
from the east side of Detroit, who you claim is a gang member, can go in prison, learn this stuff, get organized, through a life sentence that you give him for something he didn't do. He keep his head up. He learned this stuff. He finished school. He do everything.
Mm-hmm.
Get his paralegal license. He represent himself. He come in here. He know how to speak to you. He know the law, and you get offended by it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what he did. You got offended. You acting intimidated. You're not doing your, so you gonna just shut him down. Now, right there, and the news was in there. So you on
Mm-hmm.
TV. This remind me of the foot on the neck thing.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You
That's
gonna
right.
do it even
Mm-hmm.
though the girl was recording him. He went on ahead and ended his life right there being recorded. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
they so evil till they don't even understand what they're doing. They don't care if it's being recorded. Because that ain't
Mm-hmm.
nothing but a whole example of white power that he was showing to us. Because you
Right.
know that you're supposed to let them argue it. Give him a chance to say, no, right here is where this is, well, exhibit or Wayne versus such or whatever they supposed to do in there. And Darrell know how to do it, but he wouldn't allow him to do it the second time. And then you say you're not biased and you don't want to be taken off the case. Come on now.
He
Hi,
needs to
attorney.
do. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I want to get Attorney Mack in here. Hi, Attorney Mack.
Hello, J Love and crew. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. Good to be
You
with
want
you. A
to?
little bit late, but nevertheless here.
All right. Do you want to introduce yourself, Attorney Mack, while you got the mic?
Well, not in the usual way, because
Okay.
I know we have a fan base that's looking forward to that, but the conversation is so entrenched and the flow of it is going so well. I would just give an abbreviated version if that's okay with you.
That's okay.
Okay. So all fans never despair. Next week, we'll be back to normal. But such a deep conversation right now. I don't want to do anything to distract from it. Hugo J. Mack, my name, attorney at law. Probably the only one in 47,000 lawyers in the state of Michigan, who is not parachuting down from heaven to be with you this evening, but come up from hell through the grace of God and Jesus Christ to be with you. I understand the plight of the incarcerated, having done a sentence myself for a crime I did not commit, but brought back to the practice of law through the grace of God and Jesus Christ for a time such as this. So with the topics that we're talking about today and the topics that we continue to talk about are contacts and topics we need to keep talking about. But I will say this in a moment of self-servingness. Push, pull, tow that hoopity to Mack Street. Mack Street. Park in my virtual underground garage. And my virtual underground garage says free parking, not valet parking. Don't you dare leave your car where my neighborhood is with the keys in it. You understand? So this is what you do. So when you come to Mack Street, this is what you have to do. Call the Freedom Line, 734-239-3118. The Freedom Line, 734-239-3118. The Freedom Line, 734-239-3118. Because J-Love, as you and all Mr. and Mrs. America, all ships at sea, understand one thing. hmaclaw.com is your hookup. hmaclaw.com is your hookup. hmaclaw.com is your hookup. And J-Love, I'm going to abbreviate it this time. And I'm speaking to you and all the other haters that calling you, writing you, putting a note on your car, telling you to kick me off the show. I'm going to tell you like my brother Bernie Mac would tell him. I ain't scared of none of y'all. So let me understand this one thing. I want you to understand this right here. You know, J-Love, people ask, what would I ever do if you kick me off the show? You know what I do, J-Love? You know what I would do? I'm asking you a question, J-Love.
No, what are you going to do, Attorney Mac?
First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go outside in the rain, J-Love. In the rain. Now, you may say, well, Attorney Mac, why are you going to go outside in the rain? I'm going to tell you why. Because raindrops that hide my teardrops. And no one would ever know, J-Love, that I'm crying. Deep down, I'm dying. J-Love, I'm a man, I got my pride. And to the world outside my tears, I refuse to explain. I just wish it would rain, J-Love. I just wish it would rain. I want y'all to understand this one very, very thing. I'm here with y'all. And J-Love, I'm going to say this. Rather than have you kick me off the show like they want you to do, I'm like my brother Morris Day. Ain't nothing worse than rejection. I'd feel a little better, J-Love, if you just slapped my face. So J-Love, this is what I want you to understand right now. I'm here, and I know people ask you, J-Love, that lawyer talk like he crazy. Does that man really mean everything he's saying? I got news flash. You're damn right I do. You're damn right I do. And do I endorse this advertisement announcement? You're damn right I do. Brought to you by Dr. Hugo J. Mack, Esquire, the one true king of Russia, Scotland, and Harlem. I love you.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney Mac. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So Diane, Mr. Abdul had a question for you, and I want to go back to it.
Okay.
Regarding what happened today. He asked, is there a video? And we don't have it to show if there is, but is there a video for today?
Yeah, I did. I've been videoing all the proceedings. I've gotten to be a professional video taker. I got a tripod and everything to put my phone camera up on, and all the proceedings are on my YouTube channel. You just you go to the YouTube channel for Diane Bukowski. It's up there now. The most of the hearing today is up there, and I've been publishing most of the hearings in the previous stories that I've done on Darrell's and Derrico's hearings. In fact, I've been publishing all sorts of stories, probably at least 20 stories or so are up on Voice of Detroit from all the years that Darrell and Derrico and Sonia and the family and everybody has been fighting for justice in this case. So yeah, you go to YouTube, to my YouTube channel, Diane Bukowski, and you'll be able to pull up the proceedings today to see exactly what went down. Now, one of the things that happened in the proceedings was Darrell really targeted the judge when he said that it seems to him that the only thing that's not the people versus Darrell Ewing, it's Judge Kiefer Cox versus Darrell Ewing. And because the judge has been so biased in all the, he doesn't even require the prosecutor to respond to a lot of his motions, which are grounded motions, legally done, good motions. He doesn't require the prosecutor to respond. The prosecutor is getting paid all this money to fight the case, and he's not giving responses. When he does give responses, the judge uses the prosecutor's arguments, and falsely. There was one case where Darrell had asked for the backgrounds of two officers, Theophilus Williams, who was the officer in charge of the case, and another officer involved in the case, to be revealed for the back records, the records that the police department in the city of Detroit have about previous instances of illegal things that they've done. And he said the prosecutor cited a case involving a civil case. It had nothing, that they could bar things about the police officers passed under the civil law, but he did not cite it under the criminal law. And that's what Darrell pointed out. And that's also what Blaise Kearney, the other attorney representing Derrico Searcy, pointed out. He joined that motion, as he did a bunch of other motions too. A motion to, including Darrell's motion to dismiss the case because of all the violations of Brady, all the things that have still not been disclosed. He's joined those motions. And when the judge has basically been trying to, from what I can see, has basically been trying to build up things so that when it gets to trial, he'll be able to try to pit Darrell against Derrico and try to go after Darrell to shut him down, basically. Now, Darrell's acting as an attorney. He needs to have the respect that an attorney has. Darrell is very well spoken in court. He he doesn't cuss. He doesn't use swear words. He talks like an educated, sane person, but he talks powerfully and emotionally. He's fighting for his life. And that's what this judge can't understand. This judge cannot understand that somebody fighting for their life. They took his life from him when they falsely convicted, and they're trying to do it again. And he is fighting, and he's not going to be defeated. As far as if he has anything to say about it, if his family has anything to say about it, if the voice of Detroit or the people of Detroit have anything to say about it, he's not going to lose. So the fight continues.
Yes, it does.
Mr. Hakeem wants to know, did the judge issue a written opinion today?
No. He issues opinions from the bench verbally. He doesn't issue written opinions. And so that's one reason I've been videotaping everything, so we can see exactly what he's saying rather than waiting for transcripts. Darrell's still trying to get transcripts from the proceedings that he wasn't present for on his co-defendant. And the fact that he's holding these hearings with the two of them separated, they don't know what's going on with the other one. They don't have access to everything. The judge with Blaise Kearney's rulings in the Derrico Searcy hearing, the judge tried to call them untimely when because he was mad because Blaise Kearney entered in the motions with Darrell after he had a chance to read them. The judge called his filings untimely. He had never been served with the motions because he wasn't at the hearing. And as soon as he got them, he filed. And the judge right now is still trying to say they're untimely. He's trying to say others of Darrell's motions are untimely. Blaise Kearney told him, look, you're violating my client's constitutional rights when you're calling these motions untimely because they affect him as well. And so it's going to be a battle.
So, Miss Diane, we're also watching the other case in real time of the young man that actually I posted and Facebook blocked the post about the other young man who's being tried down there as well for the murder of the woman who was over the synagogue in Detroit. That case. You
Michael
need to be.
Jackson Bolanos is the young man, and he's charged with murdering Samantha Wolf. And I watched, but I haven't been able to get to the court because I've been busy with other things. But I watched the video version of the last part of his preliminary examination, and I copied it and put it up on my website, and with basically just a summary of what the defense attorney was saying, because the defense attorney is saying they have no evidence that he was even in that house. They have no physical evidence showing that they have no knife. They claim she was stabbed 7 or 8 times. They claim he was within the vicinity of the house for about 3 minutes, not in the house, not in her apartment. But her horrible death was prolonged because she was stabbed, she struggled, she fought back. It's clear from the evidence in the case. They had a bunch of videos that they showed, you know how they show on the crime shows now, how every street has a green light camera on it, and you can tell they followed what they said was this young man's proceedings from his house on Alexandria near Woodward, all the way down to this apartment complex, and all the way actually to Jefferson and Shane. They showed all that as if that was enough to say that that was enough to bind him over for trial, and there wasn't, it was the defense attorney's arguments. They were mentioned in the coverage, but I wanted people to see it for themselves. And I did a summary of the defense attorney's arguments in the story. So come to find out because I don't believe that young man is guilty, and a lot of people don't believe that's the case. He seems to have been just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And, there's a lot more to that case. There was another man that was almost charged, and out in Kalamazoo, a white man, I believe, that was an acquaintance of hers, which it sounds like it was a personal murder. You don't stab somebody 8 times all over their body and not have personal interest, have a personal relationship with the individual that you stab like that. He has never, Michael Jackson Bolanos has never had any crimes of violence against him before. The only thing he had was car theft. And that's what they claim he was doing, walking all over downtown and stuff looking for cars. But even that you can't see from the videos is pretty clear. And that Judge Kenneth King, he just bound him over. And despite the objections of the defense attorney, he's the same judge that would not bind over the police officer that knocked that guy to the ground. The 70-year-old guy knocked him to the ground, and the guy ended up dying. And Judge King would not bind him over. But he bound over a young poor black man named Michael Jackson Bolanos for killing Samantha Wolf, because the police have to get somebody for that crime because of all the influence in the community of her family and anyway. So what happened was Facebook ended up deleting that story that I posted. And I've been in battles with Facebook before because they stopped posting my stuff. I have to maneuver to get it on the Facebook post. But in this case, what I did was I figured out that what they were doing was they were blocking the actual link to the story. And see, that was the last story I'd posted. So all you had to do was really just go to voiceofdetroit.net and you'd see the story. So I put it back up with just voiceofdetroit.net, not a link to the actual story. And that worked. Right. I know how to get around them, but just the fact that they did that, part of it was the fact that I raised in the story the issue of the what's going on in Palestine right now, and between Palestine and Israel, that there's a lot of anger, a lot of they're demolishing a whole people in Gaza. they're demolishing, a lot of anti-Palestinian sentiment in this country. And, they obviously did not want to see the head of a synagogue, which is horrible what happened to Samantha Wool. I totally support her family in terms of their grief, but they also need to look at the case, because the family was interviewed saying that, they're glad that the police got the person that did it. The man hasn't even been tried yet. They finally got through the preliminary exam, and that wasn't solid. So it's like they're trying to whip up a whole thing in the midst of this Palestine-Israel stuff. And so I mentioned that in the story, and I suspect that's what caused Facebook to take it down. But it got back up.
Right.
So
you did. So, and with all this conversation that we've been having tonight, it goes back to accountability. All these things that's happening in this system, and they're getting away with it because there's nobody to hold anybody accountable. We've been talking about qualified immunity forever, and we thought that we might have, put a foot in the door with the George Floyd Act, but they watered that down and we didn't get it. But we're going to have to work on it. We're going to have to come together, and we're going to have to push it if we have to do it state by state, because it is necessary. The things that's going on in these courts and on these streets is insane. And people are getting shot dead in the streets, or they're getting cases just put on them because you was walking down the street at night. You can't walk down the street, but because you're walking down the street, now you are arrested and trial, being charged as a murderer. And these and the things that they're coming up with, they're getting away with, that's because nobody is holding them accountable. We're not even holding them accountable. We have to come together, because there needs to be a system that holds these courts accountable, that holds these police officers accountable, these prosecutors accountable. I know when I was down there with my own son, a lawyer said to me, these judges know every police officer that lie. They know the ones that come in here and lie. And it was amazing that he said that to me, and I said, nobody does nothing about it.
And they still can come in there and lie.
And they could come in there and continue to lie. And then when there's judges that do something about it, then Kim Worthy office start throwing their weight around in that courtroom, or doing, those prosecutors start doing stuff against those judges. That you have these police officers out here lying, but you still want them to come in and push these cases. And then when these people come back 30 years, like we have Andre Nelson case and all these other ones that's 30 years later, that they know that they lied on these people, they don't want to give them a second look. They don't want to,
And you know what else that would help us with? I don't mean to cut
Go ahead,
but
Tanya.
what else that'll help us with is when it comes up time for election, that they keep voting Kim Worthy back in office. If we learn to get out there and push more about why not to put her in there, because see, a lot of people who ain't been through nothing just didn't heard her name and think she's doing great for the city and locking people up. People don't know. And if they don't know, they'll vote her back in. That's what keeps happening.
Right.
So until we make that something that people can get out there and get them to knowing, it's almost, because this internet again is so powerful, till you can let people know. And you're not doing anything wrong by letting people know. No, this person right here, look how many people. If you put facts and numbers up there, people should be able to see. Don't let you be numbered 691 that she wrongfully convicted.
Right.
In
And that's why,
Michigan.
right. And that's why we come here, because we using this platform as a tool and a vehicle to get stuff out to people, and we're putting it on many platforms. So when you come to Facebook and take it down, then it's on YouTube. If it's on Twitter, it's on Instagram. Because you can't be all at the same place at the same time. And we have to use these tools that we have, because there are so many of these cases and so many mothers that I have met. And even at the summit that Trischè puts on every year, where you bring these families together, they're all talking about the same people. And guess what? Some of these same family members will go back and vote for some of these same people. Miss Diane, you talked about the COTS. Sometimes people just vote because they see a familiar name. They don't even know who they vote for. But they know that, Mike Cots, that's the first person you might think of, Mike Cots. And then you see that, okay, well, I'm going to keep voting for that. Kim Worthy, I'm going to keep voting for her. And these people are terrorizing our communities.
Yes, they are.
They're not doing what's just, and they're not doing what's fair. And we have to do our due diligence.
That part.
As community, as family members, as concerned citizens, to not keep falling for the same crap. Not when they only come up when it's election time. You don't hear nothing from Kim Worthy, but let us be time to election time. And she got somebody running against her that might be challenging. Now she's doing town halls. There ain't been a town hall since she ran for office, because I was going to them. There ain't been
But
one.
that's where we come in at, and you start calling them to town hall meetings. You get the community to call them out and ask questions for real. We don't do that anymore. We don't do block clubs. We don't do nobody accountable. We don't do churches being accountable. We let the preacher ride around in a Bentley truck and the car and his wife, and we won't ask them, where's our tithing money going? We won't ask them, where did the funds go? A lot of churches don't even ask. So until, as a whole, we start just really knowing what we put. Our money is too hard to come by for me to give 10% to the church, and they not opening up community centers, and they not backing this, and they not backing that. I'm not giving it. I'll give my money where my heart feel like giving it to, where I know that it really went to somebody who I felt that my heart needed it.
Your son, you tithe to your son every week, every day. You tithe to your son. You listen to this, y'all. I know we gotta go. It's getting late, but I'm gonna tell y'all something. We are not powerless. Like, hold on, drum roll. We are not powerless. The thing is that we've got to take back our power in many different ways. But I'm telling you right now, get your tail on somebody's jury. See, that's one big reason why there is not a lot of justice in these courtrooms, because everybody wants to skip out on jury duty. I know I've done it before myself until I realized the power in that. Get to a court and court watch. It will blow your mind. I'm telling you, that Grady L trial last week, I told y'all, the judge was helping the prosecutor. I was sitting there so baffled that I'm saying, you the second man in the prosecutor's seat? Like, what is going on here? But if we don't watch this stuff, if we don't pay attention, then they're going to get over with it over and over and over. The judges have to come through us. Right? They have to come through us to get these seats. Another thing, we've got to mobilize the community around voting. We have to raise our voice, but we have to have them afraid of our vote. And if we're not voting, they have nothing to be. Don't you know? And I've learned this down here in Washtenaw County. One of the legislators told me, she said, people don't even send mailings to areas where people don't vote. And I thought to myself, as a legislator, how dumb is that? Them untapped votes. Them people that if you engage them, so that's what Survivor Speak is doing. We're engaging the community around voting. We're going to be doing it next week on February the 20th. We're not playing. We're going to go and we're going to knock these doors and we're going to let people know it's not enough to just vote though. See, we think we did our civic duty and we be feeling good, get our little sticker and stuff, we voted. But if that's all you're doing, newsflash, You're a part of the problem. And it's okay, because I was too until I found out. But you got to watch everything they do. Go to those city council meetings. You want to know how the police have all the money to do what they do? It's because your commissioners are giving them money to be able to do all of this stuff that they're actually doing, because the commissioners hold the purse string for the entire county. How many of us have been to a commissioners meeting? Right? So we've got to get to these tables where they continue to make decisions for us without us, and we got to do it together. Again, this is why Survivors Speak. We are committed to meeting every month. That wrongful conviction support group. Why? Because we got to learn how to process these emotions. We got to come together and uplift each other and lift each other up. But then we follow up with the task force meeting for just that. We've got to start holding folks accountable. If we don't hold folks accountable, it's not enough to just let people out on wrongful convictions. You got to stop it on the front end, right? You got to stop why they're actually going in, as well as letting people out. All of this stuff is stuff that we got control over. We got to put our hand to the plow. We got to tell everybody we know there are wrongful convictions going on, and it does not just affect the person that's in there. We got a mother right here right now, two mothers right here right now. It affects the entire family nucleus. When it affects the entire family nucleus, it affects the entire community. This is not an individual problem.
Exactly.
It is each and every one of us. Who said it? Assata Shakur. We ain't free until we are free. Get to the table. Your hand is needed. We need all hands on deck for this fight. It ain't no joke. And one last thing you said that it's not enough. It's not, nobody's holding people accountable. There are some people that's holding people accountable, but it ain't enough. And then we out here looking like outliers, and they be like, oh, that's just Jay. Ah, that's just Trischè. Nah, but what would we sound like with one band, one sound, one united voice, letting them know we ain't playing no games with them? We'll be a force to be reckoned with. And that's the kind of movement I want to be a part of.
Yeah. And I have one more thing before you ladies close it out. A lot of times I got friends and everything who call and they get on Facebook and they call everybody and they say, hey, I feel like doing a coat rally for the kids. And Sonya, how many coats can you donate? They're send sizes. I done been involved in all kind of stuff. But one thing we got to learn is to really set up our foundations and get these corporations behind us and stuff. Get our 501c3s and get the money where you can really have the strength, because money is power. And power can give you, when you're not so broke, because if I'm hungry and can't feed my house, I can't really go out and march. I can't really go over here and do this because I ain't got no gas money. Stuff like that. We got to really do our foundations where we really make everybody get behind it. And companies that we spend our money with and all of that, you got to call them up, because my son's ex-girlfriend has one of the biggest foundations out right now. The girl he was with when he went to prison. She has a foundation called the Pure Heart Foundation. It's for kids with incarcerated parents. She has the Lions. She has the Pistons. She has Capital One, Cricket Wireless that gave her 100,000. Mary Grove that gave her a whole part of their building. Wayne State is using her book as a thesis. She's going into the prisons and talking to all of connecting the parents with the kids and keeping them connected. This girl is doing so much. And I remember when she quit her job at Chrysler, and we talking about it. She like, I got to get my board members together and I got to do this. And I want to do it. I don't want to work at Chrysler anymore. And right now, the Lions called her on the field, gave her a check for $10,000. It's on her page. You can go to her name is Sherelle Hogan. She has constantly showed us that anything could be done, but you do need the cash because you still got to live. You got to do stuff. So you have to do it in the proper way so you can continue to do it. It's hard to fight a fight without ammunition. It's hard to run a car without gas, all of that. So you really have to pull this thing and blow it up and get people involved and everything. Like, bring in these rappers. We got Meek Mills that then went through all this kind of stuff, who you bring on board to speak and All that same thing they do with their commercials and branding, Snoop Dogg on 3 Liquors. We need these people involved in this foundation so that when we come on board and we talking about stuff like this that's so powerful for everybody, that we can have millions of people following us because we're really connecting everybody with it. We got
Yeah.
Country Wayne, who I just watched his video, who he talk about, he just started doing little skits. You got to change with the times, right? So whatever
Mm-hmm.
gets the people to look at what we saying. So we need to get us a photographer and do skits on wrongful convictions to make people look at us. That's how you get millions of followers. We got to work the internet. Work
Mm-hmm.
it. Like, because we could sit here and then a lot of people don't follow nothing because everybody is doing a podcast. So it'd be like this amount of people, that amount of people. We need the
Right.
masses so we can
Yeah.
really bring this in. And the whole world now is based off of hype. Cat Williams get on there and say something about everybody. He sell out. How many millions of people was on his, had watched his video of him talking? That's what we
Mm-hmm.
need. We need that. We need to get the attention of the people. And that could be anything from, like I said, you can do, I be watching little skits that people putting together. Stuff not real. They like, oh yeah. And then showing how fast you could be wrongfully convicted, right? We can use our
Mm-hmm.
same stories and kind of put it together and do skits and get people to watching it. Then the watching it takes it to the organizations. Then the organizations gets the people involved. Money is power.
Yes.
Money gonna bring people. They like that
Yeah.
organization is doing big things. When that organization is opening up community centers to stop these kids from going to prison and all of that, then it's gonna be a change. Like, okay, people
Mm-hmm.
paying attention. You know who own that? They didn't open back up the rec center over here. They got the kids playing. They got all this. We gotta do that to show that we really making change. We if we did something different, we need something to catch the attention of the people.
Yes, I agree.
And I can see wrongful conviction skits coming out where you start getting people to be in it that make somebody watch it. You know what I'm saying? Not only my
Mm-hmm.
son is in about so many rap songs because they rap about how he didn't do it. You get one of them to come and do a skit with it. And then you get
Mm-hmm.
the people to pay attention to it. That's what they use. That's why Snoop Dogg is on 3 Liquors and said he don't even drink none of it. He just
Mm-hmm.
did an interview with Tiffany Haddish and said, she said, how did you get 3 liquors, 3 different ones at one time? Show me how. He said, well, you tell them what you want. And you put it together. He said, and then once I did that, he said, and come to, I can sit here and tell y'all that I don't even drink none of it. But they using his face to sell. This is what
Right.
that internet does. We got to learn how to work the internet. It's a new time and a new day.
Yeah.
That if we get to this internet the way we need to, put something together that get people to watch it. Every day I look at people who get millions of followers because they get on there and make up videos. People start watching you. You know, skits, funny skits. I see people who just get on there and dance, and before you know it, they got 1 million followers. You
Right.
know, so you got to create something to make them look at us. Once they look
Right.
at us, then we can show them. Like, and at the end, you can say, "Hey, this skit right here was made up by what's the name of your organization?"
Turning a moment into a movement.
There we go. Turning the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and that's perfect. That's
Yeah.
the whole thing. So you say, okay, this was brought to you by this, and this right here, it was actually based off of a true story. Go on to this link. That's how you draw attention to stuff. We got to do something that catches the attention of the people, and we'll be there. We'll
Right.
get there.
Because we can't do, what is that quote, Revertier, doing the same thing over and over again?
No,
That's,
Insanity.
yes,
It's
that's
insane.
right.
Yeah.
So expecting a
Expecting
different
something
result.
different. Mhm.
expecting
Right.
something different. And you
Yeah,
got to do it
expecting
where we
something
can
different.
get the most of the people. We got commercials right in our hand. Everybody watch these TVs. We flick through there all day looking to see what somebody
Mhm.
didn't put out here. I know I
And
do it
that's
as
the
soon as,
thing is we keep looking outside of ourselves.
yeah.
And so, the one thing I want to just urge people, our listeners to do is to ask yourself, how comfortable are you?
Yeah.
Because there needs to be, I mean, all of us have been made uncomfortable somehow, some way. That's why we're here, because it has disturbed us to no
Yeah.
end, whether
Yeah.
it was personally or somebody we know. We were disturbed, and you can't get anywhere without getting angry enough to say, okay, enough is enough. And so for some of our people, you get so comfortable, and then you're okay with things as they are. And you got to ask it, you got to check your comfortable monitor. Where are you? And some of us are just sleepwalking and not
Right.
understanding what's actually going on in your community. You're like the walking dead. And we need you
Zombie.
to wake.
Right.
I left out the explicits.
So before we go, you guys, I've been talking to Crystal. Crystal, you guys know of her. She's in Huron Valley, and she is suffering from the mold, the black mold that's inside Huron Valley. That's Crystal before, and that's what she looks like. Well, there's so much stuff that's going on with Crystal right now. So she recently did a recording, and I want to take time out before we leave to listen to Crystal. And my direct action, my call to us today is to contact, and there's going to be at the end of it, the Heidi Washington, the governor, because we have to get these women some help. They know that mold is in that prison. We've been talking about this for a long time. They know that mold is inside Huron Valley. So, Crystal, this is Crystal.
Hi, my name is Crystal Denise Clark. My MA number is 435064. I'm in WHV, the Valley of Death. Still haven't got no help. Still haven't went to the heart specialist. It's like my body is like declining. It's not doing good. My heart not doing good. My chest, I've been telling them I'm bringing up blood. I'm having these real bad nosebleeds. My eyesight, I'm really scared. My ears is so bad, y'all. It's so bad. And I'm begging them to send me to the hospital. My body should not be swollen like this and staying swollen like this. I'm begging them and telling them if something is not right. It's something not right. Why y'all not listening to me? It's their fault. They don't want to send me to the hospital because they know the hospital gonna show what's going on, and they in here trying to act like there's nothing wrong when you can see it all on my body. You can see how my body is, how I'm looking. I'm tired. I'm tired of laying in this bed that I barely sometimes can't even get out the bed. My bunkie had to help me. This is unstoppable. Just sound and ringing, I'm hitting my ears, how bad my ears is swollen. They infected. You can see the stuff in there. And nothing is being done at all. Nothing. They ain't giving me no antibiotics, no ear drops. They won't give me nothing. They trying to just act like I'm just normal. And then I went to see the mental health doctor. Like, I'm like, is you here to help me or you here to make it seem like I'm crazy? Because ain't nothing crazy about me. Y'all have been in black and white with every medical and every blood, everything y'all took, it came back that something is wrong. She's like, oh, well, your anxiety high, trying to give me some psych medication. I'm like, I don't need no psych medication. I need to get to a hospital. Like, I need to get to a hospital. They trying to dope me up on psych medication like I'm crazy. This is unacceptable what they are doing here. I said, and she seen this. She said, oh, you swollen, your face. She seen everything, but you want to give me some psych medication that made me like a zombie around here, like everybody else, and make me sleepy so I won't think. This is sickness. Like, should know what had to go through this. We matter. I matter. Should know what had to be treated like this to go through this. And they know I'm speaking out about it, so they keep on like acting like, oh, like it's a mental. Ain't nothing. Y'all wasn't playing on my mental. y'all neglecting me. Y'all been neglecting me for too long. I've been telling them about this mold and how it's affecting me. And now you got proof, and now you got the medical records, and you still don't do nothing. The doctor can sit in your face and smile and cover your help up and not do anything. Nodules, they are growing in my throat. You can see them moving where I talk. They so swole. They are growing. Still having no follow up for that. The lumps in my chest, the knots in my chest, what they said. Still no follow up for that. This gotta stop what they doing to me. I need to get to a hospital so I can get the right help before it's too late. I'm telling y'all, whatever my body is doing is not normal. This is not right. I just want to tell y'all, I'm just grateful to have y'all in my life and y'all support. I really love all of you, and I'm praying that y'all can stay by our side and fight with us through this. Fight with us and don't give up on us, because we need y'all. My name is Crystal Denise Clark. My MA number is 435064. I'm in WHB, the Valley of Death.
These commentaries are recorded by Prison Radio.
Yeah, I just talked to Crystal, and I test with her daughter often, and she's still having a hard time in there. So I know she told me there's going to be on Mother's Day, they're planning some kind of protest at Huron Valley. But we just still have to, support Crystal. I have, she did tell me that the clemency, they are investigating for her clemency now, and they're pulling her medical records. So we just had to send some information. I'm gonna have the links on my page and on the Justice for Gerard page where we can send to write the clemency committee and whoever else, the governor, to support Crystal's release, because she's really sick. She's extremely sick. And we need to get Crystal home. She has children. She even has grandchildren now. And we shouldn't have another woman in Huron Valley die from that mold. We just had one a year or two ago. Miss Teresa Dunlap passed away because she had that black mold in her chemo port. So they know that black mold is in here. I don't care how much they paint on top of it or how much they don't see it when people go in there to visit. They know that prison is full of black mold. So I just wanted to put Crystal information up here one more time. If you guys want to reach out to Crystal to send her a letter of support, that's her information. And we're going to keep on, putting information out here to support Crystal, standing up and supporting her medical clemency. So you guys, next week we're going to have on Marvina Haynes and family from and another family from Milwaukee coming on, talking about another wrongful conviction out there. Did anyone want to leave something before we go? And any last words? Okay, Attorney Matt.
I wanted to say this. I want everybody to understand, when there's a lot of talk about these exonerees, and I know, and I've met a lot of quote unquote exonerees, and some of them have patted Kim Worthy on the back and very grateful. You need to understand something. 99% of these people that are exonerees, it doesn't mean they can't be charged again. You do know that. You know that. Okay.
That's right.
So do not confuse with an exoneree, which really is a false term. And I don't mean a slight on people that have been let out, but that's really a false term, because you've not been exonerated of anything unless there's a not guilty verdict that's been rendered. And that really isn't exoneration at all. It's a statement that the state has not proven their case beyond a reasonable doubt, So the only actual exonerations are the Richard Kimballs of the world. Who is Richard Kimball? The fugitive. Okay, those are the only exonerations where they show it was the one-armed man that did it. Guess what, y'all? Ain't a bunch of black men being released that got no one-armed man defense. You understand? That worked. So what I'm saying is, and really this is to the people that are quote unquote exonerees. I'm happy that y'all is out, but it's a mistake for you to go and try to say how the system has vindicated you. It really hasn't. What the system has done is said, we admit a mistake was made, and the prosecutor has said, for whatever reason, we are not going to charge you, or we have not made a decision if we're going to recharge you. Okay? So a person that's an exoneree, you walk a fine line. Okay? You walk a very, very fine line. And in the state of Michigan, you're supposed to be able to get like $50,000 a year for being wrongfully incarcerated. Ask some people that have been exonerees how much money they done got. Just ask them. Okay, that is a lot harder than you might realize. So I support. God bless y'all, Sister Dodson. We never met before, but God bless you. You know, and keep on in the good fight. But Trischè is right. It's not over till we get involved, y'all. I mean, and stop running from jury duty. I know somebody said, but I'm gonna say it as a practitioner. It is so disheartening to me to go into a jury veneer, which is the big group of people, all right, and I don't see no black and brown faces. I've got to count on the humanity of white folk in order to have any kind of chance. Okay, any kind of chance. And y'all, you know, if we're 13% of the population, we need to be at least 13% of every jury. And, you know, you only need one vote to hang a jury up, okay? You only need one dedicated man or woman on a jury that sees an injustice and saying, hell no, I'm not going to let this happen. I don't care if 11 of y'all say the man guilty. I got a reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
Okay? But that voice will never be heard if you're not in the stadium, y'all. You know? So hang in there. And J Love, I'm going to say this other thing. You know that I've been having a big push with my state legislature about having people with a penitentiary experience being able to sit on juries. You remember when I had Jimmy Wilson come on, okay? So that is still in the queue. Unfortunately, we lost Democratic control of the House of Representatives. I'm sure you know. So that's bogged down, qualified immunity bogged down, you know, and even when we had a chance to push that through, scared Democrats, you know, worrying about, I can't go against the police, you know, I'm gonna get term limited. Well, here we go. So we just keep pushing the fight, you know, God bless you. I love all y'all.
Thank you. Love you too.
All right, you guys. Well, on that note, I'll see you next week. Thank you, Miss Diane. Thank you, Sonia.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all for having me.
Yes, you're welcome to join us again, Sonia.
Anytime.
I have to get connected with you. But
Okay.
thank you,
Yep, I would
Miss
love
Diane. We'll see you soon, Miss Diane. And
Okay.
you guys have a good night.
You too.
Okay, you also.